You know what? Human behavior, humans. Okay. Welcome everybody. Want to welcome everybody into Small Biz Bites. I am Gwendolyn R. Houston Jack. People call me G. So welcome into Small Biz Bites. I gotta say, you know what? Sometimes if I do too much, my brain just kind of gets out of pocket. And today is that day. So I'm so excited to do another Small Biz Bites with another photographer, because those are the best, because community, they are the best.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, we are streaming live to Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. If you're watching, let us know where you're tuning in from. We love to talk to you. Please put your questions and comments in there. A shout out to Spencer. Spencer is like our road dog. We're going to make a special maybe mug or shirt for our fans, right? He's always cheering me on. And you need people in your community who believe in what you're doing. So shout out to Spencer, and shout out to his nemesis, Gary Jackson. He's coming in from Dallas, but he's from Louisiana. The two of them, man, that's a conversation for another day. But let me get started. Let me welcome in today's guest. Haener, how are you?
I am blessed. So wonderful to be here.
You know, I'm thinking to myself, how did we meet? Let me just go there. How did we meet?
So we are both PPA members, so short for the Professional Photographers Association, and we met at conference. I think it was in the DC conference, or no, it was before that. It's been a couple years.
I think it was before that. You know, after a while, they kind of all run together.
Yeah,
you know?
Especially when our crew get together, because
right?
it all becomes what it becomes.
It does run together after a while, because the years kind of like all mangle and everything. Yep. But
so we came across each other, you, me, my best friend and mentor, Sean Anthony, and a few other folks, and I think it was a collaborative of, I may have known one or two people, you may have known one or two people. We ended up coming to the same, classes or crossing, and it just morphed into this crew, the photogs.
I agree.
And
when you say that, shout out to Erica, who's coming in from Austin, who found me. Oh man, that was Nashville some years ago. I remember just being outside doing my thing. She walked up and just started talking.
Yeah,
that's been the case. And so this time around, being able to see all of you guys in Nashville, it felt like a reunion, a really good family reunion.
Really good one. Yeah, it was beautiful venue, great location. We had just wonderful time with each other. Shout out to the food trucks. They were awesome.
Yes.
Just saying, food trucks was amazing. And the thing I love about our little family, our little crew, is that we all have a similar platform with the photography base, but we come from all these different perspectives. I remember the conversation you and I were having when I got there the first night, and I think we were in the Jack Daniel's restaurant.
Right. Oh my gosh.
And we were sitting back talking, having a good time, and sharing opinions, sharing perspectives. It's amazing how much you can learn, from someone that you value and respect. You don't always have to, agree. You just have to be agreeable enough to learn from that person. Right. And shout out to you. I thank you for, enlightening me on some things that I needed to be enlightened on, and just being who we are, our genuine, authentic selves.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about, being able to come out to PPA, being able to have those times, because we can kind of put a pause on life for a minute, put a pause on work and business and all of that, and just, you know, become kids again, you know,
Yes.
in the midst of holding our cameras.
You know, as I'm sitting here listening to you, I think about that first night where we sat down, all had dinner, or like snacks, if you will, because Sean Anthony and I had already been eating on some stuff at the
Right.
bar.
Right.
But then that very first Sunday with Simon T. Bailey was doing his keynote speech, and I brought out my Samsung Z Fold 4, and somebody got a little jelly. Somebody said, "How are you doing that? Like, how are you?" And it is on the recording. He was like, "I hate you right now." I was like, "Oh, okay," because
because
you know.
I mean, I'm everything Apple, from the watch to the, you know, to the phone to the computers, and I mean, it just, you know, full transparency, it just works better with the business model that I have and just the way I do things. Like, so, I think you'll understand that later when we explain it. But, I hate your phone. I mean,
well, okay,
I love your phone. I wish Apple made it.
let me stir up a little dust, because Gwendolyn likes to kick up some dust. I just want to know in the comments, are we doing Team Samsung or Team Apple? That's all I want to know. Because like you, I understand when everything works together. So everything is like, and yes, it may be Android based, but Samsung's experience that they deliver is not the same as an Android. Like, so.
That's true.
So while the crowd is doing that, let us get into why we really came here. So tell us about Unbeatable Images, would you please, sir?
Yeah. So Unbeatable Images is my company. I started it about 12 years ago, almost 13 now. Primary focus is youth sports. Sports in general, but specifically youth sports. I found my space in that, you know, and I had to learn where to navigate, you know. I had an idea. I guess it kind of really started, my cousin, who is the owner of Sensational Images in Maryland, was doing, you know, photography. I've always done business development, you know, and real estate, things of that nature. And he was like, well, look, man, I really need help, you know, with kind of getting this to the next level. So I was like, oh, look, I'll be more than happy to help you. Here's the trade-off. I want you to teach me more about the camera. I'll come out. I'll help you figure out what's going on with your business, how to take it to the next level. But help me with understanding more about the camera. We did that for about, 6 months to, almost a year. And the following year, I kind of, helped him move on. I duplicated the business on a completely other side of the state. And it's just been going on from there. God has blessed me with, some networking friends, some relationships where I could get into these programs. There's a lot of referees and commissioners and so forth that I already have relationships with, that I just was really led to, speak with. And it just seemed one right after the other, they were like, look, no one's doing what it is that you're doing at this level. You're going to, please come to my program, come to my organization, come to this one. Sooner or later, it got to a point where I was, now asked to do this for more than just football. I was doing it for basketball. I was asked to come out and do portraits. I was, expanding to these other things. And it was just, it just kept growing from there. So that's how Unbeatable Images started. We really, started at a very small level. When I say small, it was a full staff of me.
Me, myself, and
I, carrying equipment, setting up a booth, taking the pictures, selling the pictures, So the niche for me is that I sell on location. we used to print. Now I do digital. So that's where that opportunity is, and it's been wonderful. I used to be that kid that I'm shooting now. And I always wanted to be on a magazine or so forth. And unfortunately, my skill level didn't get me there on that level. But now I'm able to provide that opportunity for, other people, other youth. And it's been amazing.
Well, before I move on, you mentioned relationships.
Mm-hmm.
How important is that as a business owner, as an entrepreneur? And I mean in the terms of really developing a genuine relationship and not just seeing someone as a way to step up or get business or what have you.
Yeah. I think it's a lifeline, to be honest with you. I think that's your heartbeat. You can only, and I'm sure there's everybody has an example of, oh, you could do this on your own. You could be a mechanic just fixing cars on your own. You don't need those. But when you have genuine relationships, I mean, it's almost like having people to be able to speak for you, vouch for you. I may do a great job, but if somebody else is saying, oh yeah, you got a kid that's right around this age, you should call Haener with Unbeatable Images. That's that great relationship. But it's also it's two-sided, right? Like, not only is there something that I can do for you, but something that you can do for me. Where can we meet? It doesn't always have to be how do I get $10,000 out of this deal?
Right.
It could be very much how do I get 500 out of this deal for the next 100 deals? Continue a relationship. So me personally, it's been an extremely important part of my business model. Being in front of the audience in the manner that my business is, it's extremely important, and I've had to cultivate it and protect it.
Golly, I know 2 months ago I was at a business conference and they talked about that a lot of us don't recognize that our network is an asset. And I know for myself, I have really stopped to say, wait a minute. There are some people I wouldn't mind connecting with other people, but then there are others I'm thinking, I don't know if I need you to,
right?
Using my name to do. But there are people who see you and all they see is an opportunity for business, and they miss the part about really connecting with someone and getting to know them.
Yeah.
I know for myself, being in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, when I meet people, if we can sit face to face and have a conversation, I'd rather do that.
Yeah.
If it's not possible, I'm all up for a virtual call. But I like to break bread, right? We're gonna break bread, have some tea, coffee drink, a little wine, a little champagne. But I believe in that human connection and getting with people.
Synergy.
Because we've gone through 2.5 years of a pandemic.
Yeah.
We just got out of the no longer pandemic state by the World Health Organization. So to get together again with other humans,
it's important.
I'm looking for that vibe. So real quick, before we go on, shout out to everybody who is tuning in. We are talking with Haener of Unbeatable Images. The question that was on the books, because Gwendolyn likes to stir up some dust, have nothing else to do. Right. It was, are we Team Samsung or Team Apple? We do know that as says he is Team Samsung. Gary is Team Samsung all day.
Here we go.
Says everything else is just a phone.
That's Spencer getting deep again. I've seen several of his posts.
Erica agrees with him.
We already know.
And then he also shares that there was something that he liked about Gary, and that is he is Team Samsung. So, here's the deal, though. It's so funny. And we are going to get into this conversation next, because we're talking about how we operate our businesses. And I know back in the day, everybody was like, oh, if you're going to be an editor or you're going to do any kind of work with photography, it's got to be Apple, it's got to be Apple, it's got to be Apple. And I admit, when I was a kid, we had an Apple in the house, right? I had it in elementary school, and I know they built that for themselves, but somewhere along the lines, I have to admit, I've never owned an iPhone. I went from my Palm Treo.
Oh, wow.
Okay. I'm not going to talk about like the Day Runner, the Franklin Covey, the Filofax going to.
I had the cover. And the big binder that came with the Franklin Covey. Yep, I got that.
Loved every single thing. Every single thing, right? Very nice leather bound, whatever. But going to a Palm Treo. And then from there, I went to a BlackBerry.
Yep.
And then from there, I went to the Samsung Galaxy series, right? So we've never, but something about not being able to like do things outside the box is what got me. So that's a side conversation.
Yeah.
But did you always know that you were going to be a photographer, that you were going to be like this creative? Like, was that always there?
So, one thing I'm from New York originally, give you a little bit of background. My father's Haitian, my mother's Panamanian, right? Born and raised in Jamaica, Queens. I was born in Jamaica, Queens, there for a while, and we moved to Maryland. My business operates up and down the East Coast between, Philly, Delaware, Maryland, DC, South Carolinas, and all
DMV in the tri-state area. Okay.
Exactly. Like, so, with that background, you learn how to just navigate, and for me, I've always wanted to own a business, operate a business. I was always business developing. I started with, my ex-wife, and I had a cake business. We did wedding cakes. We called it Unbeatable Batter, kind of a play on words with that.
Yeah.
As a result of the, dissolving of the marriage, I had also started a moon bounce business. I called it Unbeatable Bounce. Unbeatable just kind of, flowed on. It just met everything that I needed and wanted it to meet. But I've always wanted to have a business. I've always loved photography, but when I was presented with the opportunity to merge the two of what I see and how I can make money with it, I just knew that was God's gift to me, and I just, let him run with it, let him give me direction, and he hasn't failed me since. It's been just growing. So being able to merge that into travel photography and portraits and, all this stuff, man, it's been a wonderful ride. It's going to be and continues to be a wonderful ride.
I have another side conversation because, Gwendolyn actively listens to all of her conversations. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, this is a conversation. And while I'm saying that, if you have questions for Haener, drop them in the comments. We would love to have them. Now, I will say I'm an honorary New Yorker.
Yep. Which
yesterday, during a LinkedIn audio event, a little bit of it came out.
Oh, wow.
Every now and then, certain words kind of, it's like, wait a minute, what? I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, because I forget where I am sometimes.
Right.
But I cannot help but continue to hear how you, in talking about your business, also share your faith.
Yeah.
Right now, personally, this is the past couple of days or weeks, what have you, I have met people who often ask me if I am faith-based, if you will, before they share their story. And I thought to myself, I never asked. I just feel like I got up this morning because the good Lord allowed it. So I'm just going to go ahead and share what I'm going to share, right?
Right.
Clearly, you are comfortable sharing your faith and how it has impacted your life and your business. Do you ever find that people feel funny about that? Or because of how you operate, who is meant to be your customer?
Great question. It's a synergy of both. I'll answer that by saying you don't feel uncomfortable with knowing that that's your mother or that's your father, right? Like, it's just a natural thing. Like, yeah, of course, that's where I stand in my faith. Like, so it's just a natural thing for me. I'm not putting it out there because I'm trying to, win somebody over, or, Bible thump or anything like
Yeah.
that. I'm just as, down as everybody else, but just being down in my walk the same way everybody is down doing whatever it is that they do. This is a natural part. When you hear the heartbeat for me, like boom boom, that second boom is him. So that's how I operate daily. So it's no, that's just who I am. I can't help but acknowledge, I can't help but give thanks for what he does for me, because there's just, the testimony is real.
Amen. And if I may, if you are feeling everything that Haener just said, drop an amen in the comments. Go ahead and give us a little bit of hallelujah.
Yeah. Yep. Sing about it, rap about it, stomp your feet, whatever you want
I know, right? Since we're talking about managing all of the things, you are still doing, we'll say, the 40 hours, and then you're also managing this business.
Yeah.
How are you doing all of that? Like how does that work?
It's a balance. I have a lovely wife, our two daughters. I have two sons, two older sons from my first marriage. Shout out to Dylan, Dorian, Naima, Layla, and my lovely wife, Kelly. And we it's a balance. So it's where I'm gone on the weekends, doing the photography, anywhere, in one of the cities, and that faith, that understanding, that that relationship where she's holding this down, or I'm holding something else down. You've got to give yourself time. You got to give yourself space. I thank God that I have a partner that is with me on those journeys, not physically going with me, but spiritually and emotionally there for me, but physically I raise entrepreneurs, not employees. So I got my oldest daughter, 13, Naima. She has been a business partner for 3 years now, and she operates the booth. She knows how to sell. I've even given her the camera a couple times, so she's learning that piece. She's won a little award here and there with her middle school. Like, so I again, when you're blessed with something, with a skill set, it's not for you to hold on to. It's for you to to pass those seeds so that it can grow, so that it can lay seeds and that it can grow. So, I pass that on to, my daughter, and, she's doing well. So I got that support. And I frequently hire, friends, people that I know, family members, to be involved in whatever capacity that, that they can be. And so I think that's part of that call as well. So it's a balance. Now I do have to take my time out. Like this weekend, I'm not working. I'm still doing some project wrapping up and things of that nature, but I'm not going to be on anybody's court or anybody's field this weekend. I'm going to be spending some time with family. So.
Well, that was my next question, because I'm thinking about my own journey going from managing the full-time job and managing the business. I mean, it is a job. Just managing the two is a job. But the importance of having your family support you, as well as a spouse or person of significance. The importance of that. How often, if you want to share, do you and your wife talk about where the family is going as a unit, where you were going as a business person, where the business is going? Because I know for myself, my husband and I swear to you, there's nothing like having your partner behind you.
Yeah.
I have done a couple of vlogs where I just broke down and cried because his belief in me is just like beyond words, right?
Right.
And every now and then I'm like, Gwendolyn, you know, because there's, even though you can be confident, there's that little voice that kind of creeps up like, see, I told you.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I don't know why you're trying. And then someone pops in and says, I believe in you.
Yep.
And because I believe in you, I know you got this. So tell me that dynamic of you and your spouse and the family. Like, how has that, I mean, you've already said it, but how often are you guys talking about the future and where it's going?
So I'd like to do that more often. I find that we are having conversations. I'm sharing things, but a lot of it, I'll be honest with you, full transparency. Our calendar, our shared Apple calendar, which shows the family and so forth, that is probably the conversation starter. You know, so when I'm showing that, oh, I've got this or I've got that going on, and she's a minister. So when I'm showing, she says where, you know, she may be preaching on this day or she's got this going on. That's where I can come home and be like, hey, honey, yep. So I see this change or I see that change, like everything's good, like anything you need me to do, or vice versa. So having some sort of a connection, I think, would be the takeaway from this is, you know, whether it's a sit down at the dinner table, everybody's, you know, special moment is different, right? Everybody lives different lives. For us right now is the calendar, you know, and putting things on there just under Unbeatable Images or just under Haener or just under family will help, you know, with knowing what's going on. Now, as far as like future, you know, as I'm talking things through, as I'm walking things through, you know, like she's also my best friend. So, you know, I just kind of like, hey, you know, I really want to do these things. I really want to do those things. And as in most friendships, you know, sometimes I'm like, yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. Whatever, you ain't even picking up a camera. Like, stop talking. But, you know, for the most part, we're able to just kind of laugh things through. And even though it's taken some time, we've been together for a while, it's taken some time for her to recognize that there are times when you may not understand, but understand that you know me. So you may not know, I could sit back and talk, you know, f-stops and shutter speeds and all day, you know, to you. But at the end of the day, she can still be like, I know you got this though. Yeah. Because even though I don't know what those things are, I know you do. And just know that I got you in that. So yeah, that's how we get it through.
I do remember in the beginning when my husband decided to tag along with the photo journey, that he took some classes, and then eventually he was like, okay, I'll just hold the reflector. I think I'm good. I'm gonna go ahead and stop there. I mean, he still takes photos for himself, right? And he'll look at stuff, but to do what I'm doing, we're not even in the same category. But he's out there. Like, if he can be there, he is out there helping me. He's holding lights. He's got reflectors. He's getting.
But that's the work, right? Like,
is work.
That's what we appreciate. Like, I don't necessarily need. I mean, I've had, you know, Sean Anthony come out to me and come out with shoots and so forth. And, you know, there's times I'm like, you know what, you could have been at an F8 on this one or this and that. Versus, you know, maybe I just really needed that support of knowing that I'm going to figure this out, but knowing that you're here and got me and, you know, able to do the mundane sometimes, you know. That, you know, I think it gets lost in translation. I think we need to give our flowers, you know.
I agree because he gets all of my behind the scene footage. When he's not there, then I have like a tripod that's holding it, but he'll walk around and get all the things. I'm like, perfect.
Yeah.
This is good because I need that too, right? So it's great to have an assistant that kind of like lives with you. It works out. It's gonna
likes you, right?
and likes me,
right.
That always helps too.
Right.
So really quick, you are watching Small Biz Bites. We are streaming to Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. I'm chatting with Haener about his photography business, Unbeatable Images. And I want to talk about your photography journey. Talk about that, because Personally, I'm always still like sharpening those tools. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm always
Yeah.
still learning.
Yeah.
And I know just yesterday I posted an article about photographers and evolving. So if you would, because I want to say we have a few people in the crowd who may be aspiring photographers.
Yeah. So one of the things I love about photography is that if you put a line of 10 photographers behind one camera and you tell them each one takes up opportunity and takes a picture, you will get 10 different perspectives of whatever that subject is. You know, a wedding photographer is going to see things different than a sports photographer, than a portrait photographer, than a product photographer. And that's what I love about this business. For me, it really started off with kind of like, you know, portraits and landscape, and really not knowing, just loving the ability to be able to capture, you know, that pixel perfect moment, right? And it was never pixel perfect though. It was always, you know, off, or, you know, I started to learn about, you know, shutter speed and things like that. Now, I haven't gone to, I mean, I probably have read enough books where, you know, it equals to a photography education, but I haven't taken formal classes at, you know, at a university. Mine was marketing when I went to Morgan State University, and I started in psychology. But yeah, so, you know, when I learned more, and my cousin, you know, had taught me more about, hey, well, if you're going to do sports photography, you're going to have to spend some money up front. Like, you need fast glass. You're going to have a good lens. You're going to have a camera to make those things happen. Invest in that, and then you can kind of get started. From that point, it was really, Sean used to tell me, man, just start taking pictures of something, whatever it is. Even if it's a bottle in the middle of the night, start at f/2.8 and then go to 16. You know, just learn the camera. So my, you know, that was part of my journey. I started gaining more confidence with what it is I was doing. I started incorporating other things I knew, like, you know, the composites and being able to do graphic design work, and turn this, you know, 9-year-old kid that's playing basketball to make them look like, you know, an NBA player with lightning and all that stuff behind them, and being confident enough to change the pricing of what it is I do, to meet, you know, to meet the market. So it's understanding my niche, understanding that there's a lot of people that are going to be like, oh, well, I would do this way and I would do that way, and knowing, well, my business model has not really been duplicated in my arena, in the areas I've been. Then you know, I was seeing other things I wanted to do. Like, another piece of what I like is travel photography. You know, I've been to Japan, I've been to Rio, I've been to, you know, Canada, a couple other places where every place I go, I want to be able to, you know, document some key places. You know, ultimately the goal is, once a year I've got a international travel photography project, you know, and take that and then, you know, present it to, you know, either potential buyers or, you know, maybe, you know, retail or something of that nature. I'm still figuring out some of that capacity, but I'm, you know, developing the content. So, you know, multifaceted, you know, that's where, and I'm still learning. Like, I can't do half of what you do. I see some of the stuff that you do, and I'm like, yeah, I need to go back to square one. Like, I mean,
no, wait, okay, so let's just say this, because we were talking yesterday on LinkedIn about authenticity and originality.
Right.
And when we talk about the different voices, that was one of the things, that everybody does have their own creative voice and how they see the world.
Right.
Right? Like, everybody has that. So when I look at what Erica does, I'm like, I'm not even trying to do what she do, because I don't have that kind of patience. I'm not doing it. Gwendolyn is, I want to get it as close to right in camera.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm going to do a little bit of editing here, because whatever the good Lord gave you, I'm going to just go ahead and love that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it's funny how, like, we all see someone else's work, and I'm never jealous.
No.
But I am inspired
to
just push myself a little bit more right? To kind of do a little bit more. But I will say this, as you mentioned, Sean Anthony, shout out to Sean Anthony, right?
Shout out Clear Focus Productions.
There you go. It is using the camera you have and playing with it, even if it's like your cell phone, but taking a picture of anything, truly anything, and doing all of the apertures, playing with the f-stops. And I was telling someone, I had a chance to take a week-long class with Audrey Willard. Love her work. And she was going over ISO. People were like, oh, okay, this. And I thought, half of us in here are of age that I know you guys use a film camera. Right. I know you did. And I can recall getting the 100, which was good for outside. Yep. Didn't have to get the little, flash bulb. Right. And then 200 was like kind of cloudy. Right. 400 was kind of inside and then maybe outside, but overcast, whatever. 8 was definitely inside. And then, so I was like, it's the exact same thing. Like, remember what we used to do with the, Like, that's still there. But it's funny how we can forget what it was, but you had to pick an ISO and stick with it, because now you can do whatever. Right.
You can just switch over. Yep, exactly. The cloud just came over. I could switch it over now.
Exactly. Right? You could adjust. But I thought, how'd y'all forget that? Like, it's the same thing. Remember back in the day we used to do this? Because I still have my 110.
Oh, still. Wow. Yeah.
I can't get any film for it. It's the nostalgia.
That's right.
It was my very first camera. It's why I am the way I am. I even still have the negatives from that first roll of film and the photos. Wow. From that first roll of film. The original. Yes, I know.
Nice. That's going to be worth it.
Never said I wasn't like a memory pack rat, memory hoarder. A camera has been in my life from like when I was a little one. I used my dad's camera, and then I revisited the world of film in 2020 because I thought I need a project. I need to get creative again. Yeah. And I went on the hunt for all of these film cameras, and God bless, I got some trouble. I'm not gonna lie, I bought 3.
Oh wow. I don't even know where you can process film. Well, that's not true. I know 1 or 2, but it's a whole lot more expensive now, isn't it?
Man, the film's expensive.
Yeah.
Right, but here's the deal. Here's what it has done for me, and I want to bring up Erica's comment. I am now more deliberate with what I capture, even though I'm shooting digital for customers. Because I only have 12 frames on my twin lens. You just can't go out there shooting anything, or you know what I'm saying? Like, you have 12. Right. That's it. Make them. Yeah. You gotta make it count. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So Erica says, I'm doing a shoot now, and model is not listening and will not get Starbucks. Thank you, Erica, for throwing that in for us. We love to know that things are going on.
How dare they?
But since Gary mentioned, okay, so I'll go back to this question. As Gary says, you are helping out folks who aspire to be in photography. Tell me, what advice do you have for others who are looking at a career in photography? Because you let the world tell it, photography is dead. It's dead. AI and everything, and everybody got a cell phone.
Yeah, it's not dead. There is a more of a focus on what you can produce as a photographer versus what people's and the market's expectation of what photography is. People believe the market, I should say, has a belief system that, I got a camera in my hand. If I just press this little button, it's going to be exactly what I envision, without understanding that there's a thing called Photoshop, there's a thing called light management, there's all of that. So my suggestion for those who are aspiring is, you can get overwhelmed by the costs. I very easily have thousands and thousands of dollars of equipment, but that's accumulated. I recognized that I wouldn't have, for the sports that I do, I didn't have a choice but to spend the higher end because I needed to have a fast glass. And if you don't know what that is, shoot me a message and I'll explain it to you offline. But as essentially, you needed to have something at least at a 2.8, you know, or better.
Mm-hmm.
Don't spend a lot of money up front. Get a camera body, get a lens, understand light. Because the moment you understand light, whether it's outside, whether it's flash, and those are two completely separate entities, but when the moment you have an understanding, a conceptual understanding of that, that's going to shape and model what you're going to go into. You'll start to gain an appreciation for landscape photography if you start getting, you know, the lighting right.
Yes.
Your portrait photography, sports photography, product photography, all of it, everything about photography is all about light, management of light, beginning to end. So start with whatever it is you have. Humbly speak to someone who knows what they're doing. Create a mentorship, and shoot. I mean, I still create projects for myself where at least once a week, you know, I create I'll shoot something, anything, just to make sure I understand this or understand that, you know, like, am I getting what I want to get at a 60 shutter speed with a, you know, a 3.5 or a, you know, or a 4.2 or whatever, you know, f-stop, you know, like whatever it is I'm shooting, I want to be able to now define it, you know, because what will happen is that you'll shoot, and you'll get an amazing shot. But the difference between a person that is doing that and a photographer is the person who can duplicate it.
Yeah.
That's why you got to practice. That's why you got to practice.
Have to practice. Like in any skill, any art, any talent, you do want to continue developing that talent.
Yeah.
So I do know when I started, I had a Rebel T2i Canon, and it took great photos. And I found photographers that inspired me, right? So people who were giving great advice, like on their Instagram page, was Daryl Todd in DC.
Yeah.
And his best advice was use the gear that you have.
Yep.
You have a kit lens, get high, get low, get wherever until you outgrow that lens. Right? So I started with that. And then I also recognized too, for like a bigger job, or if I thought, is this worth the investment, I would rent a camera body and a camera lens, so I could be like, okay, so does this really work for what I'm doing? If it does, then we'll save up for it. If
and
not,
you'll worry about
then I'll worry about it, right? Because other than that, there are a lot of people who go out and they buy every latest, greatest something, and they never use it. Never use it and have no idea how to operate it. It's just, well, so-and-so said I should have a Sony body because everybody's using Sony. Well, everybody's using everything.
Right.
But make sure that whatever you are using, it speaks to you and it's what you want to use, and it makes sense, right? Because it just can't be like, we're not one size fits all, like by no means.
So those who are aspiring, I don't know how early in that process you may be, but more often than not, when you commit to a camera body, all the lenses associated with that is going to fit that camera body. So it may not be as easy for someone who, like, I'm a Nikon guy, you know, not that I don't like Canon. I don't really know the Canon menu system as well, but I can't just go ahead and get a Canon lens and put it on my Nikon. It doesn't work. Purposely, they don't do it that way. So you end up investing a whole lot of money in whatever your brand is. Rent the lens. Stick with your body. Rent the lens, because at the end of the day, everything that's coming out now as far as mirrorless and these high end, it's just so that the camera can think for you.
Yeah.
So that it can create other opportunities. And that's not a broad statement. I mean, obviously large format, has its place, but
Yeah.
in generality, you get your kit lens. And when you realize that I need to be able to get distance, then rent a zoom lens.
Yep.
And then see what that does. And then once you see those pictures and you're like, okay, now I want to go ahead and invest. And you know what? Go to a reputable place, and maybe you could. Yeah, KEH is good, B&H is good, Adirondack is good. Maybe you can get a used one.
Lens
something that has a warranty on it. Lens to go. Yep. ROlenses.com.
Yep.
Not that any of those places are paying.
Arlington camera down here. Yep.
Yep.
Because I have bought some used gear and it's perfect.
Oh yeah.
Nothing gets brand new.
No.
I don't mind brand new. I was telling my husband, I have yet to buy a brand new car, but man, I sat in this BMW XM the other day. Ooh, Lord! All of a sudden, I was like, Erica, that's on the aspiration list. I think I can get down with trying to figure that out. You know what I'm saying?
You sit in one of them things and it just holds you like, hey, how are you?
Man, I was like,
yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Maybe we could do brand new. Maybe we could, because it's a 2023. It was only a month old, so there are no previously owned.
Yeah,
yet.
You might want to lease that.
I know. I was like,
every couple of years, keep getting into it.
How do we figure this out? How do we figure this out? So two things real quick for those, even if you're not an aspiring photographer, but I am curious, what cameras do you guys use to capture your moments? Because I know, even though I'm a photographer, I don't take my work equipment when I go out places. I don't take it. I carry my roller cord, so my twin lens, and then I have a Canon Mark, I think it's like Mark 7 something, is a point and shoot, and then I have my phone, right? So I'm carrying that. What do you carry, before we get into this next question? What do you carry when you go out? Like, are you taking the work equipment? Because I'm not working, so.
So again, we talked about work-life balance, right? So, I usually, because I'm shooting every weekend, all year long, I usually have my camera bag like in the car or around me. So for me, it's really kind of I'll always have a work camera around me. It's just really what's set up, because I usually have like 3 cameras, at any given time. What's set up, I'll grab, the nifty 50, millimeter with, on my like maybe D3 or 7500 Nikon. That's what I would grab if I'm just kind of walking through the park. I'm just like, okay, well, let me do that. Or, maybe a 18 to 55. Yeah. Although lately I bought, when I was at the conference, I bought the macro 100, 105.
It's on my list. It's on that's on my list. But I put a skin on it. It's like this gold paisley. Yeah, that thing is sexy right now.
But yeah, and it's been especially with this being the spring and entering the summer, just like catching those macro pictures, like the small flower and foliage, just so that I can, put that into, because I like taking those images, and if anybody likes it as far as family is concerned, it's typically I'll do it in a print and then maybe put it up in their home or something of that nature. So
well, I want to say this, shout out to Sean Anthony.
Hey, what up, Sean?
Sean Anthony has joined us here. I will tell you, I fell in love with the 135. It was a Sigma art series. Oh my god,
yeah, I like that. I do like the art
series. So dreamy, so dreamy.
They do a
but
good job.
it just but we eventually get to like those. I love using the 85 1.8. I love that. And I want to say on the regular, I think I'm doing like a 2470 is what I do on a regular basis. But
Yeah.
But
Gives you a good range. 2.8.
right?
Yeah,
Right?
it gives a good range.
Right.
Yep.
But before we go forward, because time is moving. Oh my God. Time is
Right.
moving. Hey, shout out to everybody who is tuning in to Small Biz Bites, coming in from Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. We are with Haener of Unbeatable Images. Tell us, sir, what fun project are you working on, if I may ask?
You may, as my accountability partner, I am
Right?
going to be releasing my first episode of my podcast.
Oh.
It's called wow, just because you gave that look, you threw my my whole look off. But it's beyond it's called Beyond Pixels. And yeah, it's going to be an opportunity, on the podcast to just talk to other photographers and, get an idea of that work-life balance, so that's, one thing I'm doing. As far as a project, I mean, I like the travel photography I mentioned. Right now, my daughter and I are working on a letter photography content, so going out and seeing things that look like a letter, take a picture of it. Once we create the entire alphabet, then maybe turn that into a product where people can, purchase whatever word they want through those letters and stuff. And so, those are some of the things I'm working on right now.
We got a couple of things going on. So hold on here. We have Erica. She's saying she's working on a mermaid. You're gonna toss it back.
Back into the ocean.
I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, am I reading this right? I'm about to toss it back into the ocean. Lord bless.
Wow.
Oh boy. If it's not Erica, it's Spencer. I kid you not. I kid you not. And she did share that the Joya brand new is warranty. But I will say this: having to be a certified pre-owned owner, there's a warranty there too. So
yeah,
I get it. But man, even with the pre-owned camera equipment, I was able to get a 2-year warranty on that too.
Yeah.
So.
KEH does. A couple of these companies, they do a really good job.
Right.
Even when I bought my, that's where I got my 105 from B&H. They gave a warranty, and you can buy an extended one. So, there's opportunity. There's opportunity out there.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
It's less expensive. You can save some money on it.
That's what I mean. Photo equipment is expensive. My whole thing was I am renting product from Lens Pro to go. I know how they treat it before it goes out and then as it comes back in. So when they do their gear sale, I'm like, okay, so what's available? Because I know how they treat it. So I don't feel funny buying from them because I'm also a customer renting from them and I've seen what it looks like. So I was like, perfect. I'm getting some used gear. So right there. But before we go forward, because you mentioned it, and I know that this phase, trust me, as a speaker, I am intentional on the facial expressions. So before we go forward, we're not going to skip over this whole podcast thing. You're like, oh yeah, I got a podcast coming out. You know, this is coming out. I'm just going to
right.
Bring it back.
Okay.
When's the first episode coming out? Like
we're gonna be releasing next Friday.
Oh.
Yep. My first episode, More Than Pixels, is going to be kind of an introduction to me. I'm adding my, it was supposed to be this week, but I'm going to be adding my daughter to it because she's interested in it. So she wanted to be on one of the episodes, and I'm like, oh well, you're a owner of the business, part owner of the business, so I'll bring her in, have her, talk about her perspective. And again, I mean, it's really, for me, the vision I have for this is really for us to just have conversation. Like we could sit back and talk f-stops and and lenses and all this all day long. But what's fun, what we enjoy the most, you, me, Erica, Q, Sean, Seth, when we're sitting in those lobbies and we're talking about, I had this person come and tell me it's those moments. It's how do you be a creative in a world of duplication
Yeah.
and still feel like you can produce something fresh, and still, feel a lifeline. That's what I want to, that's what I want to share in the podcast. That's what I want people to just openly, kind of talk about. Obviously, introduce their businesses and things of that nature, but most importantly, just have a space where we can just say, yeah, this is great, and it has some great things, and it has some okay things, but you know what? We're here, and this is how we're doing it.
I am 100% behind that. 100%, because depending on who you talk to, as we mentioned earlier, you will have folks telling you photography is dead. You can't have a career as a photographer. No one's going to buy it because everybody has a phone. AI is going to take all the jobs. It's like, if you can't see what you're offering to the world, that's your problem.
Right.
But trust me, as I told tons of folks yesterday, working with Gwendolyn, that is the experience. Lord bless.
Right. You're paying for this. You're paying for my knowledge. You're paying for my eye. Paying for my skill.
All of this, right?
All of this.
It's not just taking a picture.
Right.
Although it is funny when, as I was sharing with Spencer earlier this week, my most extreme customer conversation was the idea of doing a senior photo session for $150. Girl. Not again, extreme. But having those conversations with other photographers, because there is somebody who's like, well, I think 150 is a great price for 2 hours and 100 photos, and no. So I am happy that you're going to be doing something, and I think it's great to do it with your daughter. Like, that's awesome. That's a great dynamic. Absolutely love that dynamic. I will be tuning in because Gwendolyn's gonna tune in. I'm gonna always support my photography peeps and all the things that we do.
Appreciate it.
And, oh my goodness, man! Like I said, we get to talking. Here we are. Let me get this question out here. What's the future for Unbeatable Images and you as a creative as my halo comes through?
I love it too. So I see the business expanding. We have some things in place where we're the exclusive sports photographer for some large organizations like United States Basketball Association, Strive for Protection, basketball, several large crossover hoops, several large tournaments. So I see that expanding, duplicating, where we're now covering, one venue, multiple locations. I want to be able to also package that, put that into its place, and also do other things, like allow it to be successful in its own right, but then can also create an art series, for Haener Elie photography. And that's going to be, the trip to Thailand and, the images that come from that, and looking at, restaurants, or not necessarily museums, but people that want like travel photography type of things, in your retail space or office space or what have you, and being able to capture that, prayerfully getting to a point where I'm commissioned to do so. But until then, continue to grow, like getting my drone pilot license and, working through, those opportunities, just not leaving anything on the table. You know what I'm saying? Like being the New Yorker that I am, and just, working it through, with God first in it. So that's the vision. That's the plan, and again, all the best laid plans, as long as he's there, and as long as he's blessing me with it. If it needs to be malleable, then it'll be that as well.
Amen to that, brother. I was like, the drone license, I gotta renew mine. I need to renew it. I'm not even gonna say how. Well, you know what? 2020 happened, and then they had shut down doing the in-person
licensing
thing. So I was like, So we have not renewed it, but I hear it's all online, and like I just
Yep.
can't seem to get myself to the website.
Right.
But
Right.
it's coming. I am going to do it. First of all, Gary is saying amen because yes, right? Like when your heart's in the right place, the doors will open as the good Lord see fits. And
Right.
sometimes we're like, I didn't get it because it wasn't the right thing for you.
That
So
one for you.
We're good
Right.
about that. But I do
Right.
want to shout out. I want to go back to Sean Anthony's comment. For $150, I'll print you a 5x7. Right?
Yeah, you don't know how many times me and Sean have seen the sunrise, arguing and talking about how crazy some of these people are. Like, shout out to Sean, man.
You can't make it up, man. You cannot make it up. But I will say this, because like listening to you, I don't know why I just had this vision of a book, like a nice travel photography book. And there's a guy that I need to hook you up with, Mr. Ron Lewis Foster.
Okay.
We are gonna have to get you guys together because you know he is a National Geographic published, New Yorker published, Architectural Digest just put his book out last year because he was out in Iceland.
Wow.
Right, capturing this volcano.
Wow.
Right place, right time. And has done commission work because he's also an interior designer.
Oh wow.
He is in Brooklyn. So I'm going to get you guys together and like you can pick his brain to the T.
Absolutely.
To the T, because you know you like up the street, you know.
Right.
You know, and he's an all true blue New Yorker. So
that's what I'm talking about.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. And I'm not mistaken, he has an exhibit, I want to say in June. So
really?
Yes.
In Brooklyn?
I think this one will be held in Harlem again.
Oh, even better.
I want to say in Harlem again.
Even better. So, yeah, I might have to jump on the train and get to that.
Yeah, like that's on my list. A book is on my list. Doing an exhibit is on my list. And you know, my list of aspirations, they just keep on growing. And on that list of aspirations is a BMW XM. Please, somebody help me out.
My Patreon is my Cash App is
gotta tell you because I was like, ooh, the good Lord tonight. Put me in this room today, sitting in this car. But let me wrap this up because we've been here an hour already. God bless it. Great conversation. Oh my goodness, Haener, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for giving us your time today. And thank everybody else, Erica, Sean Anthony, Gary, Spencer, all the people who will be here in the replay as well.
Yeah. Thank
you all for tuning in and giving us this time to just have this free-flowing conversation. If you are an aspirational photographer, Haener, how can we reach out to you?
So I am on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, Unbeatable Images. There, you can always reach out to my website, Unbeatable Image without the s.com. My contact information is on there. And you know those are the platforms that you can reach out to me. You know, slide into the DMs, just hit me with a text or message or whatever, and we'll start the dialogue from there.
Sweet. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. I know that this is an extra long weekend for some of us, so please be safe out there.
Absolutely.
As we mentioned yesterday, those of us who do drink, I do bottles, I don't do glasses. I can already tell you that right now. But I'm going to be safe here at home with the hubs, enjoying and thinking about those who have given their life and those who continue to put their life on the line so that I can live the life that I am living.
Yeah.
God bless them. All right. See you guys.
Thank you.